I think the first fight when it really became a little bit cerebral, and it really became almost a game that was, or almost watching the fight materialize in front of my eyes, was the knockout of Patricky Pitbull. You know, I was in there, I was cognizant of what was going on, I felt at home in the cage, I felt the canvas underneath my feet, I smelled the smells, I heard the crowd, I felt the glow and the heat of the lights, and I felt myself react. And in my mind, I remember thinking, okay, that's going to set up the right hand. And then you saw that 30 seconds later, feinted the right hand, dropped my level. He didn't know if I was going for a shot or throwing the jab. Lo and behold, I throw the right hand, lights out, jump on the cage, collect a paycheck, kiss my wife.
He puts Patricky Pitbull to the ground, and we have a new lightweight world champion. Let me amend that, speed and power.
We're going to have a couple of good rounds here. Come on, get warm, let's go. Let's get there. Got a lot of work to do. 1, 2. Boom, boom, boom.
I started training in Florida about 1.5 years ago. You know, there's a ton of guys out here, a ton of great coaches to be able to train with. Fight camp is tough because you're training and it's mentally draining, it's physically training, but to be able to be almost out here in solitude is a good thing sometimes. You also just embrace the monotony and you embrace the uncomfortableness of being in a new state, in a new city. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to how good is your training, how well are you prepared, and I feel prepared. My coaches have got me prepared. My training partners have pushed me. My diet, my nutrition, my sleep, everything has been on point. Each and every training camp is unique because it's usually a new opponent, but for me, you know, I focus 90% on myself and that last 10% on the certain tendencies or the certain habits that my opponent has. The guy I'm fighting, Brent Primus, is pretty basic. He's nothing that I haven't seen before. He's good off of his back. He's good jiu-jitsu. He's a big, strong guy. Throws heavy leather. So I've seen all that stuff. You know, I mean, I'm in every sense of the word, I am a veteran in this sport now, and I compete as such. So when I show up there on fight night, I've already trained with some of the best guys in the world for this training camp. So anything Brent Primus throws at me is going to be something that I've seen before, and it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to capitalize on and be able to go out there and get the finish. Each individual session, you're always focused on what you can implement in your game for the next fight, and sometimes it's fight specific, sometimes it's just general. You know, like I said, I focus 90% on myself and how I can make myself the most unstoppable and the most tenacious and the most explosive I can possibly be, and that last 10% you focus on maybe defense to what your opponent might throw at you, or certain areas where he's very good or certain areas where he's deficient, and you can kind of take advantage. That's why you have to have great coaches around you. Even though I've taken ownership of my training and my life and my career, I have also taken ownership of seeking out the best coaches I possibly can. So you have that trust and you have that confidence in your coaches that each session they're going to put you through what you need to be put through. They're going to push you like you need to be pushed, and they're going to kind of instill that confidence in you.
Thank you. Nice. Last one, huh?
Yeah, last one. Yeah, this week, should I be doing 2-a-days or just one workout a day?
I would do just one workout a day. Now you're ready.
The maturation process over the last couple of years has been exponential. You know, I think the hardest thing for me was coming in as a wrestler. I was just a wrestler, and all we did in college was we woke up, we worked out, we went to class, we worked out again, we went to bed, you know, and that's pretty much what we did for 5 years. But there comes a time when you realize that it's not about quantity, it's about quality. You know, it's not about going 1,000 miles an hour, because that's the wrestling mentality, that's that blue collar mentality that we come from. And although it's helped me in so many areas, because it is such a kind of a humble beginnings type of sport. So it's helped me in that aspect, but it's also hindered me in other areas, because I thought if I just come in and I go balls to the wall and I go 1,000 miles an hour, that good things were going to happen. And a lot of good things have happened in the very beginning of my career, coming in as a relatively unknown guy, dethroning the Bellator lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez, getting ranked in the top 5 within my first 8 or 9 fights was unheard of. It's also a maturation process to look at my fights over the last couple of years and realize it's a new fighter, it's a different fighter, it's a more composed, a more confident, a more smart and sharp fighter. You know, I think going out there, putting it on Benson for the first 4.5 minutes, and then realizing that I wasn't going to finish him, so I literally took the last 30 seconds of that round off. And then I went out there in the second round and I fought very smart and sharp, almost realizing that if I gave that round up by not going 1,000 miles an hour, that it was going to pay dividends for the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round. I've never ever done that. I've never ever once even glanced at the brake pedal. As I've gotten older, I've realized that there's a lot more than just working hard. And I think having the right coaches that are going to instill confidence in you, instilling confidence and not directly tying that confidence to working out like crazy. I still work out extremely hard, and I'm still the hardest working guy in the room and the most dedicated guy in the room, but I work a lot smarter as a 31-year-old than I did when I was a 24-year-old.
I feel like I should only be doing one workout a day.
Well, you talk to a guy who in kickboxing do only one workout a day, but you guys have much more.
2 days?
Yeah, nowadays they do running and everything, but no, but I think after this training from today, we work pads this week too, so you're going to be good, man. I don't like the wrestle practice hard. I see too many accidents happen at the end, just right before fight.
Last day of sparring for training camp, feeling good, feeling the best I've ever felt. So the rest of this week, it's maybe one workout a day, something quick, something hard and quick. No need to be in this gym for 2 hours like I've been. The main thing about training camp is, I mean, anybody can come in here and work hard. Anybody can come in this gym and run their head through the wall, spar 1,000 rounds, but what do you do after your workout? What do you do between workouts? How are you supplementing? How are you eating? How are you drinking? How are you drinking your supplements? How are you eating your protein? How are you sleeping at night? You know, so for me, it's Dimetize before and after every single practice. The ISO 100 protein after practice, the BCAAs all throughout the day, focusing on that protein synthesis, focusing on repairing those broken down muscles, because inside these gyms, we beat the crap out of our bodies. So, yeah, man, it's about recovery, especially at my age. I'm no spring chicken anymore, so supplementation, rest, recovery, prehab, rehab, all that kind of stuff is the most important things.
This is my 20th fight, and it's no coincidence that it's at Madison Square Garden, literally the world's most iconic arena, the greatest venue for fighting, and it's exciting, you know, to be able to go out there and compete and warm up in the same locker room that Mike Tyson warmed up in, walk the same halls that Muhammad Ali walked as he was walking out there towards the ring. Well, leading up to it, you try not to think about it too much. You try not to focus too much on the magnitude of the fight card, of the pay-per-view, of how big the night is and how bright the lights are going to be, because that kind of stuff can kind of mess with you. You know, you got to continue to realize and continue to remember that it's just you and another man inside of a cage. That cage door locks, and you got to go out there and you got to do your job. And I'm more deadly now than I've ever been. As my body has matured, as my last almost 10 years in this sport, I'm faster and I'm bigger and I'm stronger and I'm just smarter. And a smart fighter with the power that I have, and add onto that the heart that I have and the cardio that I have, it's a cool, unstoppable feeling, but it's also keeping that humility in your back pocket. June 24th is going to be a really, really, really cool night. And I think, as I sit here today, I try not to think about it too much, but I think when I get that knockout, or I get that submission, or I get that finish, and my hand gets raised, and it'll be something that I'll be able to remember for the rest of my life. It's going to be something that I'll be able to tell my kids and my grandkids that, you know, your dad, your grandpa fought at Madison Square Garden. But I expect to, like I do every single time I step into the cage, I expect to steal the show. Doesn't matter if I'm the first fight on the card or I'm the main event. I'm the most dynamic, most explosive guy that's going to step into that cage that night. And it's going to result in either a knockout or a submission or some kind of finish of Brent Prinos on June 24th.